love the Lord with their whole heart, with their whole soul and mind, and with all their strength, and love their neighbors as themselves. Oh, how happy and blessed are these men and women when they do these things and persevere in doing them. And may they keep those fragrant words of our Lord Jesus Christ in their mind and carry them out in a holy manner to the end, because they are spirit and life. Thus starts and ends the letter to the faithful that our seraphic Father Francis wrote, and which contains the basis for penitential spirituality. For this reason, it served as the first inspirational document for the Order of Brothers and Sisters of Penance, later known as Franciscan Third Order. In 1221, the Church gave the Memoriali Propositi as a rule to the Brothers and Sisters of Penance. It was approved by Pope Honorius III. This rule has been updated by the Church several times through the centuries to the treasure secular Franciscans have today. In the 1228 version of Memoriali Propositi, we find precise guidelines: simplicity of dress, meat only 3 days a week, fasting on Fridays, Holy Communion 3 times a year, paying tithes and debts, reconciling with neighbors, being free of all suspicion of heresy, attending Mass together once a month, paying a monthly contribution for the sick and needy, attending funerals, visiting the sick, praying for all, making a will, not taking arms against anyone, which some historians believe helped bring an end to the Crusades. And finally, a woman needed the consent of her husband to join. In 1289, in the papal bull Supramontem, Pope Nicholas IV gives the Franciscan Third Order a revised rule of life for seculars living in their own homes called tertiaries. For the first time, it recognizes Francis as the founder of the Order of Penitents and gives the friars of the First Order responsibility for visitations and formation of the penitents. It follows the rule of 1221, but arranges things in a juridical order. This rule guided Third Order Franciscans for almost 7 centuries. Pope Leo XIII approved a new rule called Misericordias Dei Filius in 1883. It spells out what should and should not be done: monthly communion and confession, avoid extremes, avoid lewd shows, and recite the office of 12 Our Fathers and 12 Hail Marys. The order becomes more a devotional society than an order. The present rule was approved by Pope Paul VI on June 24, 1978, through his apostolic letter Seraphikas Patriarcha. This rule was designed to address the needs of the Church in changing times. It is composed of 3 chapters and 26 inspiring articles, which reflect more faithfully St. Francis's letter to the faithful. This rule clearly positions the secular Franciscan order as an equal member of the Franciscan family. Once again, it is recognized as an order, a way of life to which people of diverse conditions are called. The process of writing the rule of 1978 took some interesting twists and turns. In March of 1966, shortly after the conclusion of the Second Vatican Council, the Ministers General of the 4 Franciscan obediences gave their blessings to begin work on a new rule for the Third Order, as the secular Franciscan order was known at that time. They invited national fraternities to make suggestions as to the content of a new rule. Responses were forwarded to the Rule Project Commission in Assisi, an international council consisting of friars and church leaders, reviewed the responses and completed the first draft of the rule in 1968. They sent this draft to the national fraternities for critique. The responses were very negative. This would not be an easy process, but it reflected the fact that the members of the order understood in their hearts their charism even before the rule was finalized. The critiques reflected and provided a guideline for the direction that the rule should take. Listen to some of the comments about the first draft. Does not reflect people as they are now actually living in the world. Does not reflect meeting the needs of the world. The concept of Vatican II is absent. The ecumenical spirit is lacking. The eschatological view is blurred. Not enough stress is put on being secular. It deals too much with the rights and powers of the priests and does not mention the mutual responsibility of the first and third orders. Nothing is mentioned about the message and mission to the world. It does not envision the order as a community, but as an institution and organization. Francis's spirit is not expressed in the rule of life. Chapter 1 mentions the gospel as the tertiary's rule of life. After that, there are only moral regulations and invitations to devotional practices. Nothing is said about the need for continuous conversion. This draft is for a dying third order, not the third order of the future. Whew. This was not going well. Secular Franciscans knew what they wanted and weren't afraid to share their thoughts. In their hearts, they recognized their charism, their mission, their focus, and it had to be in the new rule. The Royal Commission met again in January 1969. At that meeting, they recognized that there were no Third Order members present. To correct this oversight, they invited Third Order leaders to participate in the next gathering, the Assisi Congress held in October of 1969. Allowing laypersons to participate in the writing of their rule was unprecedented. It would make a world of difference. Together, they produced 17 essential elements for a new rule. Live the gospel according to the spirit of St. Francis. Continual conversion. Live as brothers and sisters to all people and all creation. Live in communion with Christ. Follow the poor and crucified Christ. Share in the life and mission of the church. Be instruments of peace. Have a life of prayer that is personal, communal, and liturgical. Be at the service of the less fortunate. Live in simplicity, humility, and minority. These elements were to become the essence of the new rule. Of special importance would be that it should have a spirituality of a secular character. With the new rule, the order would also have a new name, the Secular Franciscan Order. Blessed Paul VI signed the new rule in June of 1978, 12 years after the rule project began. The rule calls secular Franciscans to go from gospel to life and life to the gospel. Essential articles of the rule bring out the importance of the work of secular Franciscans for peace and justice, ecology, work, and family. The rule challenges secular Franciscans to interface with the world in which they live. It emphasizes the spirituality of secular Franciscans. To live the gospel, following Francis through daily conversion, in community, as seculars, united with all Franciscans around the world. To complete the treasure that we call the Secular Franciscan Rule of 1978, the exhortation of St. Francis to the brothers and sisters of penance was added as a prologue to the rule. A message our seraphic father, St. Francis, wrote to remind us of our roots and our mission. Finally, a rule written with and for secular Franciscans, a rule secular Franciscans can live and breathe every moment of every day. This treasure speaks to us, directs us, inspires us to live our Franciscan charism and to offer it to the world as a gift of love. Let us celebrate it with our lives.